Hello, ladies, and everyone that's listening. Welcome to this Grace Notes series. And today I want to talk about why all you're ever up against is insecure thought. So this is such a huge subject for so many people because they come to me regularly for coaching and they are lost in this world within around becoming visible and whether or not they can make a living doing something that they love, whether or not they're in the right relationship, whether or not they are, good enough. And there's so much noise that goes on that we get caught up in that really is all coming and stemming from one single place, and that is insecurity. I think somewhere along our journey, we become self-conscious and we become so self-aware that we turn against ourselves. Because if we look at little babies, we don't see insecurity. We see pure love. We see a lack of self-consciousness. We see happiness. We see just pure being. And if you ask little children if they can do something, can you sing, can you dance, can you cook something, they will automatically say yes. There's a confidence within them that, they don't evaluate whether or not they know how to do something or have got the right books to read on the subject or have studied enough. They're just in that place of confidence. And I think we, at some point on our journey, we separate out and we become aware of the self and as sort of a separate self and an individual self. And we become what I describe as self-conscious. My own experience and journey of self-consciousness was so kind of unknown to me until about 2 years ago. And I was sitting in a room with a group of people, a lovely group of people, my type of people. And I was very caught up in how I looked and was I wearing the right clothes and did I have, was my designer handbag the right one? It was very self-focused. And could I answer the questions that were being asked from the teacher correctly? And I just felt really uncomfortable. But it was the first time in my life that I actually noticed that I was uncomfortable. And this discomfort was very much held right here in my chest. So I think I'd spent many years holding myself and holding a tightness here, not knowing that sort of rigidity was coming from a self-consciousness. And I became aware in that moment that I was very just sort of focused on self with a small s. And as my inquiry towards that deepened, I realized that this self-conscious feeling was the result of being lost in insecure thought about myself. Now, I know I'm not the only individual on the planet to get lost in insecure thought about self. But what I can tell you is being lost in that level of insecure thought about self meant that I had a difficult time connecting with people. I certainly wouldn't have come on video like I'm doing nowadays, so I wasn't very visible with my message and my audience. And I spent a lot of time and money and energy on appearing the right way and put a lot of focus on image and my brand and sort of, let's just say sort of covering sort of the shell, if you like. And it wasn't until I really had that insight that, wow, this is insecure thought that I'm lost in, and it's creating a feeling of self-consciousness. And that feeling is very much caught up here in my chest, and it's making me hold myself tightly. When I saw that, my body just relaxed. And today, I get to show up and present and share and speak and coach and teach and be visible and just have a lot less self in the way. And so what I want you to know is that if you're resonating with that, if you're feeling that you're always holding yourself back, if you have a tightness in your body, if you feel that you aren't sharing to the extent that you could be, either how you feel or what your message is, if you get lost in a lot of content in your mind about yourself, and you know that you're holding yourself really down from the expression of the gifts that you have, the expression of the beautiful spirit that you have within you, then just know that you're up against the same thing that the rest of the world is, and it is insecure thought. And people often ask me, well, how did you get over it? How did you get beyond it? How did it change? I can tell you, just starting to see when I was getting lost in that level of insecurity, it somehow had less grip on me. And it didn't go away. It's there. It shows up at times, but it's not running the show anymore. And because of that, because it's not running the show anymore, there's a much more effortless sharing going on. And I see this in my clients too. This isn't personal to me. This is universal. I see it with clients too. Women who come to me and they're very much wanting to express their gifts in the world, wanting to help other people, wanting to put themselves out there in whatever format. Maybe it's in the world of business or television or dating or anything really. They know they want to put themselves out there. They know they want to be seen and to be heard. But when they begin to explore and see that what they're really up against is not learning a whole new system and way to do things, but what they're really up against is the level of insecurity they get lost in, something begins to change. Something begins to, again, have less grip. And I've seen that really is the deciding factor between those that go out into the world and create and produce and really, experience success quite quickly and quite effortlessly, you might say, and those that don't. There's the former simply aren't being gripped by their insecurities anymore. And whether it's body image or it's knowing what to price for a coaching program, or it's, getting on stage and presenting, it really doesn't matter what the form is. But when people move beyond, when people begin to see that what they're up against is their own insecure thinking, and that thinking does not have to be in the driving seat, it tends to change the direction and the course. It tends to allow people to open up to a whole new world. And when we operate from that insecure place, we don't tend to make the best decisions. I always say, don't make any life decisions when you're lost in an insecure thought storm. We don't tend to come up with the best ideas. And things will feel effortful, things will feel hard, connecting with people will feel difficult when we are coming from that level of insecurity. But if you can start to recognize that that's all you're up against, and that that form of thinking, which is universal, you know, to most people have it. You don't have to be as gripped by it. It's kind of like switching a light on in a dark room. And something changes when you see what you're doing to yourself. Now, there's a whole world out there that will tell you, change your thoughts, get rid of your thoughts, think more positively. And whilst that can be very helpful, and I've been down that path myself, what I have seen is that at some point, unless you're holding that muscle up consciously 24/7, which is extremely effortful, your insecure thinking comes back. So I'm not suggesting that you try and get rid of your insecurity and you try and get rid of that thinking and that you condemn it and judge it and be afraid of it and change it. What I'm suggesting here today is that you notice when it's showing up and in the driving seat, and that you begin to consciously recognize that what you're up against is your own insecure thought. And that does not have to grip you to the extent that you're currently letting it. Because it's thought. And so we have the opportunity and the power to simply notice and make the decision as to whether or not that we're going to buy into the story that we're making up further and further. And you'll know you've been buying into the story if you're still feeling stuck right now. If the whole world looks to you like it's all effortful and hard work. You know, I have clients who have insecure thinking about marketing or getting things done or showing up and sharing things. And so all of that sort of just renders you stuck. But the moment that you start to see what you're doing to yourself, you have the opportunity then for that to move on. And it's innocent, you know, this is not something you want to judge in yourself. This is not another level of, oh God, I need help around this. I need therapy around this. Look what I'm doing to myself, right? Like, you know, this is something that everyone in the world is playing this game of insecurity. The difference is that if you're watching this particular note today, you have access to consciously seeing when you're playing the game and choosing to play a new game, whilst the rest of the world perhaps doesn't know that that's what they're up to. So whatever you're facing, whatever is difficult for you today, whatever looks impossible, whatever feels like really hard work, effortful, just know that that's not what you're up against. You're up against stressful, insecure thinking that looks real to you right now. And because it looks real to you, it's playing out in your life. Like in my own experience, it was playing out in the form of a feeling of self-consciousness and constriction. So it's playing out and it'll move on. It will move on. As you begin to see that that's all you're up against, that that's all that's playing out, that that's the game of life that you're buying into right now. It'll begin to simply have less grip. The light will go on and you'll find yourself knowing what to do. You'll find yourself knowing if you're coming from a place of insecurity or not. You'll recognize the difference between acting from insecure thought and acting from wisdom. And you'll just start getting stuff done. All those things you keep saying you want to do, all those videos you want to make, all those emails you want to write, that book you've been putting off, you know, that client call you'd love to take, that change of jobs you want to have, that new relationship you want to enter, you know, like you'll just find yourself moving into doing because you're no longer gripped with this type of thinking. So I really hope this has been helpful for you, and I'd love to hear what comes to mind for you as you hear this today. Please feel free to comment below or to email me on grace@citygirlconfidence.com and get in touch. Maybe you're someone who wants to explore this a bit further with me. Maybe you're someone who wants to look at being supported in some way. Feel free to get in touch. Feel free to you know, email me from the link below. And I'll be back with you soon on another topic with a Grace Note. Enjoy your day. Bye.